All right, good morning. We're here for an update from the sheriff's office, January 7th, 2025. So, all right, Tom, we just wanted to try to get you in once in a while just to kind of have an open communication between us and you and what you're doing and what we're doing.
Yep. And the staff with me are just admin staff, and
Okay.
it's good that they see this process. You know, if I were to kick off in a couple months, somebody's gonna have to take over, so.
And I think we're gonna try to do this quarterly, hopefully.
Yeah,
Just so we kind of have an idea if you have questions or we have questions and
perfect.
see if that works out.
Yep, just shoot me an invite and we'll make it happen. So, what I have there for you is some of the numbers, because I attended a meeting down in Whitehall, a CTAC meeting, and they really didn't understand what their money was committed to and what Boulder's money was committed to and what coverage was about and how many cops were there and how long they were covering during their shift. So we went through that. And I didn't have this information at that time. I had Taryn pull this up, but another conversation has come up in Whitehall or in Boulder, because there's a group of folks that think that there's a crime wave going through the community, and there isn't. It's pretty much an ebb and flow from, we can only go back to 2019 in the system. So I printed out City of Boulder calls and City of Whitehall calls from 2019 to current, and really it is just a even keel of ebb and flow incidences. These are not officer initiated stuff. This is just calls that come into the office. So, you know, for instance, like most years, the town of Boulder and Whitehall are experiencing 2 thefts a month. And that could be Bob stealing a billfold from Bill in a house that they share. It could be a large theft as well. You know, domestics we take care of quite a bit. It seems like those are at a rate that are pretty consistent, but still 1 a month, 2 a month, whether it's Whitehall or Boulder. So I think it's important as commissioners to have these numbers as well, because people come to you and say, hey, we heard that organized crime has arrived in Boulder and they're operating out of a base kitty corner from the county or the clerk's office, you know. And so we just want to make sure that, and I'm going to meet with the town councils also and share the same information so that they understand that sometimes those loud voices they hear are not folks that have actually got the numbers and have come talk to me. In fact, nobody has come talk to me. So, but from what I hear circulating, I feel like I need to provide some facts to folks. Anyways, but like I say, these are just calls that come in. They are not officer or deputy initiated on the road or in town or whatever.
Good, that's good information.
One of the other things that we're dealing with right now is we're trying to hire a deputy's position, and that was vacated by Ryan Murray, who had some medical issues, and he couldn't go on in capacity as a deputy sheriff. So we opened it up on the Indeed and locally, and then newspapers, Facebook. We got a lot of responses. We have a lot of people that have applied, and majority of them are from here in Montana, some from out of state. So we'll be looking at those. Some are licensed, some are not, but I just have to be upfront. Even if they're licensed or not licensed, it really doesn't matter. If we can get a good candidate that is sharp and wants to be in the area and wants to live in the communities, then that's pretty important to me. I guess we'll invest the time in training them and educating them. What I do have to ask the commissioners, though, is that we research the position that Mercer left. I would really like to put 2 deputies. This deputy that we're hiring now will go in Whitehall, but I'd also like to fill Mercer's position and put that in Whitehall as well. And this is about our constituents. This isn't about Tom as the sheriff. This isn't my need. This is the need of the community to have deputies on. This is the need to have deputies on that will back up other deputies in times of serious calls. Really would like to keep that position. I guess I could hire it now and just not listen to anybody and do my own thing. But there's grumblings that 25 looks as hard as 24. And if the commissioners as a group can get together with a clerk and recorder or whomever and pass along to me whether, yeah, I think we can do this, go ahead. Now we need you to wait. and see where it goes, because we certainly don't want to hire somebody and have to fire them right away.
What does your budget look like to you?
Well, we're at 48 or 49% of it right now. It just depends, because this last year I cut. We trimmed it close to 100, I think, when we had the meeting here. Just as a budget meeting, and then we trimmed another 210,000 after that. And then,
With the 5%.
yeah, and then after that, they needed more, so I trimmed a open detention position that I had, so I lost a detention position. So we're looking at, almost
Could you just send
400,000.
me an email, maybe the rest of the guys want it too, just an email saying what your staffing is and what you think it should be?
Yeah.
And then everybody can look at it and see what the budget looks like. We could talk to Ginger
Yeah,
and see what we can.
Would be helpful too, Tom, is cars, like, I have no idea what you got for cars.
Yeah.
You know, how they match up to your staffing, and that would really help me put my
yeah.
head around what you got going on.
I think this is another year after the Title III money that we really don't even need to look at cars. If we do, it'd possibly be one, and we'd have to look real hard at that. But we got 2 older cars, but they have 2 brand new engines in them. And the people that get those are just gonna have to understand they're literally gonna be running until they drop.
Well, and I can tell you from my perspective, and this is my first meeting that I actually get to do anything, but I've been to several of them for the last 2 months, and the budget for everybody's not pretty.
No. at
Not
all.
this year and not next year, probably. I mean, that's always subject to change, but.
Yep.
That's just what we all have to live with, unfortunately.
Yep.
County
So-
government.
So, yeah, and so that's kind of, I would just like to know what's in front of me is all. Like, if we can't fill it, fine. We may have an option of having a part-timer down there or something, or a reserve that we can use a little bit more and pay a little bit more money to. There's always, I guess there's,
Deputize Mayor Mary.
Get her done.
it's recording.
You can't answer that then.
No, but having 2 is not a good place for any deputies that work Whitehall, because up on the north end, we can call Helena or Lewis Clark County, where there's a trooper around, or one of us is at home. Whitehall, there's 2 of them, and one of them lives in town and one of them's trying to get to town, but for the time being lives at the county line on Highway 2. So that's a ways out there. So really, it's a significant officer safety issue, not to have one more down there in the community, living and helping take call. And even though we have a deputy down there every shift, and soon to be
24 hours.
24 hours. Yeah, it causes me a little bit of sleeplessness. I know I've gotten calls in the last couple of weeks where a local north wants to run down and back up, a traffic stop because that person's on answering the radio. So you send them, but you better wake up a little bit because your phone's gonna ring and you're gonna go out. So,
Which, how does the city or the town of Whitehall's contract line up with what we're providing? Are they still, do you think they're way behind? I mean, that probably affects us the most. Is this-
they're behind a bit. They're paying 120 still a year for that coverage, and a deputy right now runs about $98,000. So they're paying for about quarter of a car and a
It was
deputy.
really intended when it started that they had 1 cop and that's what they wanted. So
Yeah.
that's what they got. It doesn't, and Tom can correct me if I'm wrong, but it doesn't count. That's only for the town.
Yeah.
Not the rest of the outlying areas, which in my experience accounts for a lot of the calls.
Yeah.
But the town does too, so, but that was really the intent of it. That's what they wanted.
So inflation has affected everybody, including Whitehall, but they're really struggling right now with some of their stuff going on, and I have no interest in asking for a raise from them in any funding. But they have to understand that the coverage is kind of what it is. Boulder, on the other hand, feel like they want more coverage, so we're making that happen. I've made it pretty much a mandatory. They have to log into our reporting system and do 4 hours each shift in Boulder. They are paying for the service. The service should be done here. And so we're making those adjustments with the deputies so we can track that they're doing their thing. I think what the town, because you can see what the crime's doing in Boulder, it's always the same. It's gonna be the same. People are saying, well, we miss having a police department. And I told a resident last week, I said, that's super. I support you guys having a police department, but you can't afford it, right? Said, this is how much things cost. And, but having worked for Boulder for 13 years as a reserve and working it as a sheriff's deputy, I was used to patrolling a small town, so I'd come down here all the time and cruise Boulder. I had no problem doing it. It's a mindset because you have to slow yourself down. But they missed that officer parked on Main Street, looking for that one stop they're gonna get during their shift, because nothing else is going on anywhere in the
Right.
community, so they're hanging out on Main Street, just looking for that traffic stop. Well, we have enough going on that we just can't look for that one traffic stop on Main Street, but I
I
get
know, I
to,
seen one this morning from somebody. I don't know if it was
couple of
Josh.
them, the undersheriff and Josh were out working traffic in Boulder this morning, so. That not very long it works anyways, but, and it's gotten to a point where I cut off at about 2 or 3 in the afternoon and cruise Boulder before I head out. So it's easy. It's easy to do. People don't really see me because of my pickup, but I roll down the window and make sure I do what I did to you, Well, I don't flip them off, but.
That's probably a good thing.
But they deserve, coverage but the deputies deserve to have some backup. And it's getting harder. It's getting a little bit harder.
Yeah.
If we can't fill Mercer's position, I absolutely get it. I would like to have some hope though, what 26 looks like or 27, if there's a way out of this hole, what that looks like. Johnson Control, I deputize them because they're at the office so much and we're paying them quite well to be there. Right now they're kind of looking for a old pneumatics control box that they have somewhere to replace the one that's in the control room. You know exactly
It's
what
all old.
old. But everything's brittle and breaking in there. We can't keep a constant. This summer we had cells that were 90 to 100 degrees, and correct me if I'm wrong, but we're federally mandated to have it controlled back there. And there were some complaints coming out of there. I told the company, I said, it's not like we can run fans back there with the cords, we can't have cords back there, and that's just not.
Right,
So they've been working on that. It's cost us a bit out of the budget that wasn't planned for. My writing sucks and I didn't bring my glasses. Which one are you on, buddy?
If you can't read it, we're in trouble.
Yeah. Radios, computers, we replace those when we replace vehicles, or we try to, and those basically come out of the 911 fund. But we don't have to do that so much this year because there's not so much to replace. Mill levy. Corey and I have spoke about this at length, and we want to have a mill levy asked this year from the county, and we want to try to educate the communities around us to try to carry this through. We're to a point now where our detention, we have 5 employees in detention, and one of those employees gets sick and goes home, or gets injured, or has cancer, or any kind of extended, and we have an operation that's 24/7 back there, and we can't do that with 4 people. What we do is we pull people off the street, a deputy to work that, and then we have one person working the county, and we call somebody else out and we pay them overtime to work that shift. And it's just, it seems to be a fight that goes on and on forever. Well, here's a wish list, and it's completely a wish list. This is very much for conversation. This isn't what I demand, and it's like the Mercer deal, if we can talk through this, but this is the good of the office and the good of the people that we serve, really. I'd like to see 2 more dispatchers. We have a dispatcher that is licensed to dispatch, but working in an admin assistant position. And if you want to discuss that further, we can do that in my office. Wait, let me back up. 2 detention positions, sorry, to replace the one that we lost, and then to have an extra one more dispatch position, 1 more deputy position.
So 2 detention, 2 dispatch, and
No, 2 detention, 1 dispatch, 1 deputy.
1 dispatch, 1
Yeah.
deputy.
We'd like to look at the wages that everybody's paid with a mill levy increase, so that we're competitive just with the communities that surround us, not losing Clark County, not Gallatin County. but Madison County,
You're pretty close, cause I've seen it.
are they about $1 off?
Not
think-
even that, I don't
Not
think.
even that, okay. So again, talk about it, come up with.
I just said pretty close. I don't have any solid numbers, but
Okay,
I've seen the paper.
replace some equipment, the cameras in our vehicles are catastrophe. It's a catastrophe. We're running into several vehicles where the cameras are malfunctioning. And it's just because they've been abused in those vehicles on roads and we can't upkeep them anymore. Motorola bought out WatchGuard and refuses to work on them, refuses to do anything with them.
Who does?
Motorola bought out WatchGuard
Oh, good.
and they won't do anything. They won't sell us anything.
They don't make those cameras anymore.
I'm sure they don't.
So,
They were free.
Yes.
so right now, we have a quote from Axon. And they're a little more expensive than some other folks, but the quality of it and how long they last is what is appealing. And the ease of use and the information that they gather. And that can be explained more by somebody than me, other than me. But right now, to get the package to upload it to the cloud and the license that goes with it and one camera for the pickup that's coming and one body camera is 29.
No, it's
17,000.
17,000.
Oh, I was way off. Holy smokes. So we received $10,000 from the sale of Hex to Bozeman. And Hex was bought strictly with sheriff's office budget funds, right?
With what?
Budget funds from the sheriff's office.
No, but what
Hex,
did you receive?
the sale of
dog.
Hex.
Okay,
Yep, for $10,000. And that is sitting in an account in the general fund. I asked him and she responded yesterday. We also received a $5,000 donation from Tom Hattersley from Skytop Ranch. He spoke to me this spring and said, hey, we always told Craig we were gonna do a donation. And at that time, we were looking at a lot of maintenance issues for vehicles. And I said, yeah, for maintenance issues, that would be great. So there's a $5,000 check from them sitting in the general fund. I think between those two, and there's also money in the forfeiture
drug forfeiture.
account, yeah, of about $16,000 that Steve Haddon and I agree on the usage of. I mean, we could probably use that, but I'm a little more interested in using the K-9 fund and the donation for getting our first package set up so that we can start operating and build off of that. So in the past few years, we've taken a new vehicle and put a new radio and a new computer in it. We didn't buy them in bulk because we can't afford to buy them in bulk. And this is the kind of the same deal, unless we want to go to Axon and say, we also need 18 body cameras. So we have a couple spares. We need 18 body cameras. And they'll set up a package deal with a 5-year plan, pay for it. You're looking at $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 a year, I think, something like that. Josh, do you remember the number?
For how many?
I think it was
Body cameras?
Yep.
Body cameras alone, 45-year, 5-year plan for one would be about, I think it's about 3,000 a year per camera. So if you times that by 16, I think you were looking at close to 40,000.
I don't think that was a year though.
Per year?
No,
That
that
was-
was total.
That was total.
That was total for
Yeah.
5 years.
They have that broken out into a
Okay.
payment plan over
Yep.
4 years.
So really, we're kind of looking at that. Because right now, I'm ready to give up my body camera, which is in place of my in-car camera that I have mounted on my dash. But so many of them are breaking down that I'm gonna have to issue that one out. It's getting to a point where we need to address it because if we wait any further, we just won't have video for the county attorney's office and for the protection of their deputies and protection of the public. And I say that as a sales pitch, but that is the truth of it. And I've always thought of video that way. It really protects the deputies out there from accusations against the public. And like recently, when a deputy does step outside that boundary, it also documents that and verifies that that is a problem. So strong belief in that, fairly good belief in a decent product if we can start that process. I think I can find the money for it if we can address the the general fund where the donation money and Texas.
If you, I guess in my mind, if you have the 10,000 from a sale and you have 5,000 in a donation and you have probably somewhere around 16,000 in your drug fund, if you want to spend that on a camera, that's not up to us. That's money that's yours in your budget.
Yeah.
But you have to look at the rest of your budget and the position you have open and things like that. And I realize there's only certain things that some of that money can be spent on.
Right.
So is it in a capital improvement fund? Is it just,
Mhm.
is the donation and the sale just sitting there somewhere?
It
So-
is,
so
it,
that-
it's not where I can get to it. It has to be moved by, I believe the way I understand it, has to be moved by the commissioners into a line item. Ginger has to know that that money
Budget
is-
amendment of some
yeah.
sort.
Probably, depending on where it is. That's why I'm
So,
asking that
Yeah,
question.
so that's what our intention to do, what to do with that money.
And I think Tom knows that he can spend his budget how he wants, but he wants us a part of the whole
I do.
conversation.
Right, and
Yeah,
I agree.
Including the levy and all that.
But I think
Yeah.
you asked if you could do that
Yeah,
to start with.
in a sense, I do need a little
To try to move
reassurance that
into
I'm not,
the-
For spending, yeah.
But try to
Right.
move into wherever,
That-
what your plan is. to
that's
do
it.
this.
because if you look at the lump sum of that project, it's out of bounds. It's $500,000 or $280,000, 280,000, I think.
I believe so. It's,
It was
Scary.
enormous. So if we can just chip away at that as time goes on, I found that that's probably the best way to cover some of those bases. So just a heads up, that's kind of what we're aiming for.
So I think we should probably get a committee together or something for this mill levy thing, cause there's two ways to do a mill levy. There's a permanent mill levy, which a lot of what you've already stated here would probably be, but like equipment and fixing the jail and all that would probably be a temporary one, where we just need
We
this
could do
much
that,
money
yeah.
for a few years.
Yep.
So I think if we can get all our heads together and figure out exactly what you need and maybe break it up, what do we need first? Do we need this permanent levy to get our deputies and all this stuff that you just said, dispatch and some of these positions done first, do that, and we can wait on the jail stuff that would be more of a temporary levy, so we don't wanna hit them with both at the same time.
Right.
It would wanna be, cause a lot of people will vote for a temporary one, okay, you need this big project done, let's do it, 4 years, we're gonna pay a little bit extra taxes, but it ends, so.
Yeah,
You have that light at the end of the tunnel, where a permanent one, boom, it's there forever, so
true.
we gotta be careful how we
And you're-
present this.
And your budget works with kind of a permanent one now. You're on a public safety mill levy. It's on everybody's taxes.
Yep.
But from personal experience, we did a mill levy once and it sunsetted. We did a sunset on it. And it passed by one vote and then it failed the next time.
Okay.
So really look at permanent or temporary and what you want to do with it, what your plans are, because it's gonna make a difference to
Okay,
the people who are getting whacked on
right.
their property
Right.
taxes. They're getting whacked on everything else.
Yep.
And
We've already spoke to a couple people in Whitehall and a couple people in Boulder and on the north end to pull them in as a committee of ideas and how they view things and let them go back out in the community and kind of get the temperature of what the coffee table has to say. I guess that's the best way to put it. My dad went for coffee every morning as a farmer,
Yeah.
and a lot of politics are discussed at those tables.
Absolutely.
So, Tom Harrington, I met him at the CTAC meeting. He was very well spoken and seems like he's well connected. I'd like to pull him up and get him involved in some of it as well. We did that with our last hiring too. We invited a Whitehall resident up to sit in on a deputy hiring for that area. So probably gonna do that again as well. I just think that input is pretty important, and I appreciate the direction for the mill levy stuff, because just it's been a learning curve from before it started, and it continues to be a learning curve, and I'm sure it will continue to be a learning curve. But Dan, this is specifically for you. I just want to work together on these projects.
No,
Yay, nay, or abstain.
I'm glad you brought that up, because I'm very supportive of you guys, okay? Like I said, I always will be. My concern or my thoughts are, okay, is like you're trying now to go back and possibly get a mill levy. But what I'm looking at, I don't want to see you run out of money in the budget and then you're hoping to depend on some other money coming in to purchase this instead of it coming out, just the unexpected rainy day. That's why I did what I did.
Yeah, no, I
You know,
appreciate that
but
completely.
That's the
Yeah.
only reason I did that, okay?
yeah.
But I'm supportive of you guys, and I think, like, Commissioner Doolittle said here too, at the same time, I mean, with that money and you wanting to do that, I think that's a good idea if you can do it.
Well, trust me, I worry about running out of money myself, so.
Well, and it's always an issue, and I'll tell you, you're learning that, just like me right now, I learn something new every single day. This is day 7, and I've learned 15 new things a day. And
For sure.
I'm in a learning curve too. Your system, I know, and if you need help, don't hesitate to ask.
Trust
because
me, that's,
I have to deal with this job, but putting the two together, I'm more than willing to help, and
that's all I got for you guys today.
You guys
So-
don't forget the big picture. I mean, we've got you and the road. You guys are our multi-million
big
dollar
budget.
budgets.
Yeah.
So between you two, there should be some communication, like Craig brought this up and it's an awesome idea. Okay, this year, maybe we can hold off on something big with the road because we need cars for the sheriff's office. Or vice versa. You guys don't need cars this year, maybe the road needs something else, so.
So I'll say this on a recorded line. I would like to hold off on pay raises this year for elected officials. I wanted to hold off last year. If the Jefferson County's operational budget is impacted that much by what's going on around us, then I'm uncomfortable taking more money as a sheriff. I just really need that sheriff's office to operate in a fashion that it's a great place to work or a decent place to work. We're drawing in applicants that are licensed that shouldn't be leaving their jobs. Maybe there's other reasons, but I think it's because we're continuing that creation of a culture where people want to come work in this area.
Yeah.
And that's our
it wouldn't
goal.
be the first time that it happened. We'll talk, I think, and I was guilty of it myself. Everyday people this is a whole different role for me. And it's a whole different set of classes that I'm going to and a whole different set of rules that I'm having to follow, as these guys have found out, because I'm asking them questions every time I see them almost. But there's limitations to what we can and can't do
Right.
with taxes, with raises, with all kinds of stuff. And it never meets the amount of the cost of living.
Right.
It just doesn't.
Right.
And it's not Dan, it's not Corey, it's not me, it's not you, it's the system.
Yeah.
That's just how it is. But that always helps, and there's some things behind it that you can work around and to make it work for the employees. And now you've got 3 unions involved, that's gonna be an issue.
Mhm.
So it always works that way. But if you ever wanna sit down and you want 15 minutes of dirty rotten county budget, let me know.
Yeah. Well, I'm always open to that.
Because there are a bunch of issues.
But I think it's not me that needs to be, because I've had a lot of talks with Corey, like, why is this happening? And why is that person got this? And why does, and I've had to come to terms with, there's taxes, and that's how we get our money. And some of the federal money we've lost this last year. And, these taxes go specific places and percentages
Yep.
and I explained to the public, it's like, this is Jefferson County, but for some reason, we're affording to operate this Jefferson County and not this Jefferson County because of taxes. And that's why people like to move here too. It's less taxes. You look around us and we're
And just know, it's not just you, it's the road department,
No,
it's
no,
the
I-
health
yeah, yeah.
department. It's
Yeah.
it's every single one out there, and there's a lot of them
yeah, for sure.
that are dealing with the same issue. They're just not at the scale that you and the road department are at.
Right. Right. No, I agree. But sometimes I think it's our responsibility to educate our employees. Because for the sheriff's office, for my whole career, I knew that we acted as agents of the sheriff, and how we acted out there represents him or represents me. And I have found that our own employees around the county don't understand a budget and how it operates. So that grumbling that happens comes from employees of Jefferson County, and then the public buys into it. And they're not getting a good view of it. They're not getting a good understanding of it. People say to me, well, why is your budget like that? I said, truly inflation and trying to keep up with a pay raise for the people that work here so they can afford to live.
And the price of everything is going up.
Yeah. Well, hopefully that will,
So
hopefully that will give us a little relief starting this year. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll
I'm not
see
sure
what
if I
So
happens.
let's just
any of it.
do a list of just, and you can send it to all of us or to me or whatever, just of your, like Corey said, your vehicles, your staffing.
Yep.
And
Yep,
just so
for
we
sure.
can look at it and we'll look at that other.
Well, I think
position
it's
and-
important for all of you to have that, because when Dan goes to Whitehall, he should have facts, and it's up to you, Dan, to come to me and go, well, show me where this is. If I send it to you and you're like, yeah, I
Yeah,
need
give-
more.
Yeah, give me transparency here.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can go there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not a problem. The only thing I would say is, just so you know, and I didn't know it until as a commissioner, I guess we're supposed to come over there every now and then and check out the jail.
I
Yeah, I know you didn't know that. I
Supposed to
didn't
be
know that.
inspected once a year by the commission.
Come on
Yeah.
over.
No, but I
We
just
just
like,
never did it.
yeah,
Leonard and I used to do it. I think Corey and I did it a couple
Yeah,
times.
Yeah,
I've done it once or twice.
you guys, I think the fire wardens have been the hardest on us. So. I know we have a whole new sprinkler system in there and stuff for
Yeah.
fire regulations and. Yeah, the jail, there's some, I'd like to redo the floor in the processing room there, and the floor out in the salary part is gonna have to be looked at, but that's gonna have to be a different budget year.
Yeah.
There's
Yep.
things. There's things.
It's a 40-year-old building.
Yeah, I think our biggest, the jail costs a lot. Jail costs a lot
Right.
to operate.
Like,
And the more people we have in there, the more medications we pay for, the more meals we provide.
Visits, all that.
You know,
doctors,
Ask anybody in the state.
Jails, yeah.
Mhm.
We were at a meeting with Gaines representatives.
Yeah.
Down in Butte a month ago. And they're talking about the Southwest Drug Task Force, and I told his reps from DC, I said, well, do you want to know what's interesting to me is that if the new administration that should be coming on, he wasn't voted in yet, so it's gonna. I said, if that changes and they decide to deport people, I said, where are they gonna house those folks? And the reps were like, what do you mean? I said, every jail I know of is full,
Yeah.
and it's the
Or
largest,
they don't want them.
and it's the largest
It costs me
liability.
a ton of money
that's
over
out
a
there.
lawsuit.
Mhm.
So, good luck to those folks for figuring that out, but
Yeah.
I guess maybe they have more money than what they're telling us. Anywho, thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Thanks for our
Thank you for coming
conversation. Yep. All right. Take
Appreciate
care.
it. Appreciate it.
Good luck.
Thank you.
I might go right real